So how's everyone feeling today? Was that a whisper or was that an answer? Come on, you guys had a 15-minute break. Can I get a louder response? How is everyone feeling today? Good. Okay, that's more like it. That's more like it. Okay, so let's start with a general question. Something I'm sure you get asked almost all the time. How many followers do you have on Instagram? Raise your hands if you don't have Instagram at all. Okay, that's a curious number. Raise your hands if you have less than 500. Okay, quite a few popular people. Raise your hands if you have more than 1,000. Okay, so some pretty less popular people here. Anyway, I was 11 years old when I joined TEDxAl Diyafah High School, my alma mater, for the very first time. I met my 7th grade classmates, except to me, it felt like I'd accidentally stumbled into a professional NBA squad's locker room. Yes, all my classmates were absolute giants, everyone at least a foot taller than me. I was already an introvert, and jumping from the 5th to 7th grade wasn't exactly helping my already fragile social stability. Then came the moment of absolute horror. Introductions. The teacher placed me in a group, and I was asked to say a few words about myself. As you can probably guess, my body shivered, my heart raced, I mumbled something barely coherent lest my classmates hear my high-pitched voice, sat down, and avoided eye contact for the rest of that session. But at that defining moment, something sparked in me, a realization that I didn't want to enclose myself in this imaginary glass box for the rest of my life, that I wanted to try and connect with people around me. And so that's what I did. I dragged my self-conscious mind, kicking and screaming out of its comfort zone, and I started talking with my classmates. And to my honest surprise, I found out that they shared my interests and opinions on various subjects we found fascinating. Fast forward 7 years, I'm standing on a stage delivering a TED Talk to the largest audience I've ever faced. If you told my 11-year-old self that this would happen, he would have laughed at you and run the opposite direction. And yet here I am, thanks to the unexpected connections and support that has shaped my character up till this point. A warm welcome to everyone present here. My name is Prince, a university student and part-time singer, and I'm here to give you insight on how every unexpected connection has a pivotal role in your personal growth as a whole. So, let's all agree on a pretty universal fact. Life is weird. It's like that one group project where no one has any idea what's going on, yet somehow everyone manages to pass. Unexpected connections follow a similar pattern. You don't see them coming, and half of the time, you don't even realize their impact until much, much later. But when you start recognizing them, they can change even the smallest of your habits in ways you've never imagined. Take my alarm clock, for instance. It was my first true arch nemesis, as I'm sure many of you can relate. It screamed at me like a banshee at 5:20 a.m. every weekday morning, reminding me of everything I dreaded for a new school day. Homeworks, assignments, tests, you name it. But now, my alarm clock has evolved. It has become my life coach. Every time I press the snooze button, it whispers back to me, "Are you truly ready for the day? Or do you need another 5 minutes of self-care?" Who knew a gadget could teach someone so much about self-compassion? That's the beauty of unexpected connections. They reveal wisdom in the most unlikely of places. Then there was a time I joined a book club by accident. Long story short, I thought I was signing up for a free cupcake party at my school. It was only after my second cupcake that I realized I was in a heated discussion about pride and prejudice with a bunch of bookworms I've never met before. Now, I could have backed out, but something told me to stay. Over time, I found myself thoroughly fascinated about these different conversations about classics and about people. One of my friends there even introduced me to AI research tools that I use to this day for my college studies. So the lesson from all this: sometimes you must evolve past the cupcakes and dive into the deep dish of life. Now, speaking of deep, let me tell you about a particularly useless glue stick. In middle school, our teacher asked us to bring something that represents us. While my classmates brought elaborate items of all sorts, I myself, forgetting about the task at the moment, searched the deepest depths of my backpack to find anything useful. All I found was a half-dry glue stick. Now, when it was my turn, I stood up and blurted out, "I'm a glue stick because I try to hold everyone and everything in my life together, yet occasionally do dry up." Now, as you can probably guess, everyone in the class laughed. But it was only later that a friend came up to me and said, "Prince, what you said about the glue stick there, that's actually really deep." That joke became a real conversation about life, stress, and how we felt like glue sticks constantly trying to hold everything in our lives together. That moment became the defining foundation of a friendship that has lasted to this day. Now, for the sake of adding an extra bit of wisdom, I am legally obligated to throw in a profound quote here or there. So, the late Steve Jobs, co-founder of a company I'm sure you may all know by now, once said this: "No one could connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." Now, he was right, sort of. The thing is, I'd probably trip over my own feet over and over again if I just kept looking backwards. Being in university has taught me that while looking back helps you reflect, looking around helps you spot opportunities you never knew existed. For example, on my very first day of university, I wandered into the wrong lecture by mistake. I stayed because the professor was actually very engaging. It turned out to be one of the most insightful lectures I've ever heard, even though it was not even remotely related to what I was pursuing. Now, tying back to the main theme why we're all here, the power of the letter E. If I had to choose a word starting with E that defines my constant journey of finding unexpected connections every nook and corner, it would be to embrace. Because connections, they aren't always logical. They're not like a meticulously planned PowerPoint presentation. They're more like the band we just heard, jazz, spontaneous, unpredictable, and sometimes out of tune. But when you start leaning into them, when you start embracing these connections, they can change you in ways you've never imagined. Now, before I wrap up, I have one last story. In school, I always sat by the window. Every single day, I'd stare out, daydreaming, what's my future going to look like? I see all my classmates discussing all the different jobs they could pursue. I myself had no idea at the time. It was only one day that my English teacher pulled me aside and told me, "Prince, if you keep looking outside, you'll miss what's happening inside." Now, what she said that day stuck with me. But as I grew up, I realized something else. You need both. You need to look outside to dream and inside to act. And it's often those unexpected connections, in my case, an alarm clock, a book club, or even a half-dry glue stick that helps you balance the two. So to everyone here today, whether you're a student, a teacher, a parent, or just someone who wandered in here because the chairs look comfortable, remember this: life is a series of dots. Some are obvious, some are hidden, some are beautifully connected, whereas others look like they were drawn by a 2-year-old with a crayon. But nonetheless, each one of them are essential. So what can I say from all this? Embrace the randomness of every connection you make, and consequently elevate the ordinary in your life. And who knows, maybe that half-dry glue stick in your bag isn't just another useless piece of plastic. Maybe it's the start of your next great connection. And ask yourself this: do you have what it takes to embrace the unexpected? Thank you.